Diego Fernandez was a name that resonated with power and success in the business world. At 35, he was a successful entrepreneur, owner of a chain of renowned restaurants, and often seen on the covers of the most prestigious magazines. However, his life path was far from conventional or easy. To understand Diego, it was necessary to go back in time to his humble childhood in a poor neighborhood in the city. From an early age, Diego showed an unusual passion for books. He devoured anything he could find, from adventure novels to treatises on architecture. This interest was not common among his friends, who preferred to play ball in the dusty streets. But Diego traveled through different worlds with every page he turned, and that's how he began to dream of a future beyond the limitations of his reality. Diego's parents worked hard to put food on the table, and they could hardly believe it when their son, then 10 years old, told them he wanted to be an architect. "I'm going to build a restaurant," he announced, with a conviction that seemed precocious. Without really understanding but seeing the sparkle in their son's eyes, his parents supported him as best they could. They bought him a notebook, which would become Diego's first great treasure. In it, he drew imaginary restaurant designs, each one more detailed than the last. At school, Diego found mentors who saw his potential and encouraged him to follow his dreams. The teachers, touched by the boy's talent and determination, helped him get a scholarship to a renowned architecture school. The news was greeted with tears and pride at home. Diego, aware of the sacrifice his parents were making, dedicated himself to his studies with impressive intensity, putting aside friends and even an unrequited love for a rich classmate called Laura. Laura was Diego's opposite in almost every respect. She came from a wealthy family and didn't have to worry about the future. Even so, something about Diego's determination attracted her. They spent long hours studying together in the library, and Diego had a silent love for her, a love he never had the courage to confess. Laura, for her part, saw Diego as a reliable friend and confidant, but nothing more. This painful distance only made Diego focus even more on his goal. After graduating with honors, Diego began working for a large construction company. It was a time of intense learning, where he accumulated knowledge and made important contacts. Often working late into the night, Diego never lost sight of his original dream. He saved every penny he could, with the clear vision of one day opening his own business. Finally, the day came when Diego decided to take the big step. He opened his first restaurant in a small space that he managed to rent with his savings. The first few months were difficult, with few customers and many sleepless nights, but Diego persevered. He applied every lesson he learned in books and in practice, and little by little, his restaurant began to gain fame for its quality and innovation. Over time, the small restaurant grew into a thriving chain. Diego became an admired figure in the business world, but he was never satisfied. Always looking for new ideas, he remembered his childhood projects and continued to innovate, designing restaurants that became real sensory experiences for his customers. Diego lived in a luxurious penthouse apartment in the city center. Despite all the comfort and wealth, something was still missing from his life. He had a maid who took care of his daily needs, but inside he felt an emptiness that not all his success could fill. His only constant was books, the same ones that had shaped his childhood and continued to be his faithful companions. It was against this backdrop that Diego found himself facing a new challenge, brought to him by his business partner, Eduardo. The proposal was to work with a major foreign businessman, Alessandro Rossi, but there was one detail. All the partners had to attend the business dinners with their girlfriends or fiancés. Eduardo, knowing Diego's personal situation, suggested that he get a temporary fiancée for the event. Diego, always practical and focused on business, reluctantly agreed. He asked his assistant to find someone who fit the specific requirements. Beautiful, with dark hair and blue eyes, and preferably poor. Fate was about to take a new and unexpected turn in Diego Fernandez's life. The interviews were a series of frustrating encounters for Diego. Each woman seemed more interested in his fortune than anything else. Their conversations were superficial and predictable, and Diego began to lose hope of finding someone who fit his criteria. It was then that his assistant, Marta, suggested one last candidate, a librarian called Sophia. Sophia was a simple young woman, with dark hair and blue eyes that exuded a quiet curiosity. She had a calm presence and a perceptible intelligence. When she entered Diego's office, she didn't seem intimidated by the luxurious surroundings or the imposing figure of the businessman. Her eyes shone with a mixture of interest and caution. Diego looked at Marta, who just shrugged and smiled, encouraging him to go ahead with the interview. He introduced himself and started asking the usual questions, but soon realized that Sophia was different. She wasn't there to impress him with appearances or to win his wealth. Instead, she spoke candidly about her passion for books, how she had worked in the library since graduating with a degree in literature, and how she loved the smell of old pages. "So, you like books?" Diego asked with genuine interest for the first time that day. "I love them," Sophia replied, smiling. "They're windows to other worlds, don't you think?" "Yes," Diego agreed, feeling an unexpected connection. "I've always loved books too. They've shaped a lot of my life." The conversation flowed naturally, and Diego found himself telling Sophia about his childhood, his dreams, and how books had been an escape and an inspiration for him. Sophia listened attentively, her blue eyes shining with understanding and empathy. When the interview was over, Diego knew he had found the right person. "Would you like to join me for a business dinner?" he asked, almost hesitantly. "Of course," replied Sophia without hesitation. "But why me?" "Because you're different," said Diego, smiling, "and I need someone different by my side." On the night of the dinner, Sophia showed up in a simple but elegant dress. She looked beautiful and had a presence that, although not ostentatious, was impossible to ignore. Diego, dressed impeccably, felt a strange nervousness at the sight of her. They entered the restaurant together, where Alessandro Rossi and the other guests had already gathered. Dinner began with small talk and introductions. Sophia, initially silent, watched everything carefully. When Alessandro started asking questions about Diego's business, Sophia couldn't help but notice something that disturbed her. She leaned close to Diego and whispered, "Did you know that your company demolished my family's house?" Diego froze. He looked at Sophia in disbelief. "No, I didn't. When was that?" "A few years ago," said Sophia, her eyes full of painful memories. "My family lost everything. It was your partner's decision, Eduardo." Diego felt a wave of shock and guilt. He had never been told about this specific demolition. Turning to Eduardo, he asked in a firm, controlled tone, "Eduardo, what's going on here?" Eduardo, taken by surprise, tried to downplay the situation, but it was too late. Alessandro Rossi, sensing the tension, intervened. "Diego, it seems there are things you need to sort out within your own company before you can work with us." The deal was cancelled that night, and Diego felt an enormous weight on his shoulders. He knew he had to do something to right this injustice. After dinner, he apologized to Sophia, who accepted his request for a new meeting, this time under more personal and less commercial circumstances. Diego couldn't get Sophia's words out of his head. He had spent years building his company with integrity, or so he thought. The idea that his company had caused so much suffering without his knowledge disturbed him deeply. The next day, Diego called Eduardo into his office for a serious chat. "Eduardo, I need to understand what happened to Sophia's family home. How could this have happened without me knowing?" Diego began, his voice firm but controlled. Eduardo, visibly uncomfortable, tried to justify the decision as a necessity for a larger project, something that would benefit the company. "It was a necessary step, Diego. Sometimes we need to make difficult decisions for the greater good." "Greater good?" "Eduardo, that doesn't justify destroying lives. We need to do better than that," Diego replied with growing frustration. "I'm going to investigate all this thoroughly and make sure something like this never happens again." After that conversation, Diego spent hours reviewing documents and talking to employees to understand exactly how decisions were made in his absence. He realized that, in his relentless pursuit of success, he had delegated too much and trusted Eduardo blindly. Determined to correct the mistakes of the past, Diego began a complete overhaul of the company's policies. During this tumultuous period, Diego continued to meet Sophia. Each meeting revealed new layers of her passions, her fears, her hopes. They would spend hours talking about books, sharing stories from their lives and exploring the city together. Sophia, with her simplicity and frankness, brought a new perspective to Diego's life, something he didn't know he needed. On one of these dates, while they were walking through the park, Sophia asked, "Diego, why haven't you been emotionally involved with someone before? You seem so focused on work." Diego stopped and looked at her, considering her words. "I guess I've always been afraid of getting distracted. I saw my parents struggle so much and I wanted to make sure I never went through that. But in doing so, I think I ended up missing out on other important things." "Like love?" asked Sophia with a soft smile. "Yes, like love," Diego admitted. "But getting to know you, I'm starting to see that maybe there's room for more in my life." The days turned into weeks, and Diego and Sophia grew closer and closer. He made a point of showing her his world, but he also made an effort to get to know and understand hers. They would visit the library where Sophia worked, read together, and even discuss the stories that touched them the most. Meanwhile, at the company, Diego was implementing significant changes. He ensured that decisions as drastic as the demolition of Sophia's house were analyzed with much more care and transparency. He also began to get more directly involved in operations, ensuring that the company reflected his values and principles. Finally, Diego decided to make a gesture that would show Sophia how committed he was to righting the wrongs of the past. He bought land and built a new house for Sophia's family, a house that incorporated all the details she and her parents had always dreamed of. When he took her to see the new house, Sophia was in shock, tears rolling down her face. "Diego, you didn't have to do that," she said, overcome with emotion. "Yes, I did," he replied, holding her hands. "I want you to know that I'm committed to making things right, not just for you, but for everyone affected by my company's decisions." Sophia hugged Diego tightly, feeling the sincerity of his words. At that moment, she knew she had found someone who not only understood the importance of books and dreams, but who was also willing to fight for a better world. Over time, Diego and Sophia continued to cultivate their relationship. Diego felt that, for the first time in a long time, he was truly alive. Every day with Sophia was a discovery, a new layer of happiness that he had never experienced before. They not only shared a passion for books, but also a vision of life that valued simplicity and authenticity. One day, while strolling through an open-air book fair, Sophia found a rare edition of a book that Diego had mentioned loving as a child. Her eyes lit up when she handed it to him, and Diego felt a warmth in his heart that went beyond words. "Sophia, you're incredible. I can't thank you enough." "No need to thank me, Diego. I just want to see you happy," she replied with a smile that lit up her face. Diego realized that Sophia was more than just a relief from a complicated business situation. She was his partner, his confidant, and the person he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. He began planning a marriage proposal that would be as unique as she was. He chose a special place, a charming little bookshop in the city center, where they had spent hours browsing through books together. Diego talked to the bookshop owner and organized an exclusive evening for them. On the appointed day, he took Sophia there, saying he had a surprise. When they entered, the bookshop was decorated with soft lights and candles. There was a table in the center with their favorite books piled up, and next to the table a small makeshift stage. Diego led Sophia to the table and held her hands. "Sophia, you've brought a light into my life that I didn't even know I needed. You've shown me the importance of simple and true things. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, sharing books, dreams, and everything else that comes along. Will you marry me?" Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes, and she answered without hesitation, "Yes, Diego, I do." They hugged each other tightly, and the bookshop was filled with an aura of happiness and love. The bookshop owner, who had watched the proposal discreetly, brought in a bottle of champagne and toasted with the couple. It was an unforgettable evening, the start of a new chapter in Diego and Sophia's lives. After the wedding, Diego and Sophia went on a unique and special honeymoon. They decided to travel the world visiting famous places associated with great writers. This journey was not only a celebration of their love, but also a tribute to the passion that had brought them together. Books. Their first stop was Stratford-upon-Avon, the birthplace of William Shakespeare. They walked through the old streets, visited the house where Shakespeare was born, and watched a play at the famous Royal Shakespeare Theatre. On a clear night, under the stars, Diego and Sophia recited sonnets to each other, their hearts beating in unison with the immortal poetry. From there, they went to Italy, where they strolled through the streets of Florence, soaking up the rich history and culture that inspired authors such as Dante Alighieri. In a small cafe overlooking the River Arno, they discussed the Divine Comedy and how Dante's words still resonated centuries later. Each conversation deepened the bond between them, revealing new layers of their feelings and thoughts. The next stop was Paris, the city of lovers and artists. They visited the cafes where Hemingway and other writers from the lost generation spent their hours discussing literature and philosophy. Diego and Sofia strolled along the banks of the Seine, where antique booksellers offered literary treasures. They bought several rare books to add to their growing collection. Each destination was a new adventure. In London, they explored Charles Dickens' house and lost themselves in the pages of his Victorian novels. In Dublin, they followed in the footsteps of James Joyce, unraveling the mysteries of Ulysses. In each city, in each historical site, they found a new connection, not just with literature, but with each other. The trip culminated in a visit to Japan, where they explored the literature of authors such as Haruki Murakami and Yukio Mishima. In the garden of an ancient temple in Kyoto, surrounded by the serene beauty of nature, Diego and Sofia sat in silence, each lost in a book, but united by a deep, shared peace. This literary honeymoon was not just a physical journey, but a spiritual and emotional one. Diego and Sofia discovered that their lives together were like a wonderful book, with chapters full of love, adventure, and discovery. They returned home more united than ever, ready to face any challenge life might present, as long as they were together. Back in their hometown, Diego and Sofia settled into a comfortable and fulfilling routine. They bought a cozy house with a large library that quickly became the heart of the home. Every bookshelf was filled with books they had collected over the years, each volume bringing back memories of travels and shared moments. Sofia continued to work in the library, where her love of books made her stand out. She organized literary events, book clubs, and even reading sessions for children. Her presence was a constant source of inspiration for everyone around her. Diego, on the other hand, approached his business from a new perspective. He became more directly involved in day-to-day operations, making sure that every decision reflected his values and principles. One day, while they were having breakfast on the sunny veranda of their home, Sofia looked at Diego with a smile. "Diego, I have an idea. How about we open a small bookstore? A place where people can come, read, and find refuge from the hustle and bustle of the city." Diego thought for a moment and then smiled back. "That sounds wonderful, Sofia. It would be a dream come true for both of us." They enthusiastically began planning the bookshop. They found a perfect location in the city center, an old building with lots of character and history. They worked together on the renovation, incorporating elements from their travels and literary experiences. Sofia took care of the selection of books, ensuring that the bookshop had something for everyone, from classics to new discoveries. The opening of the bookshop was a great success. Friends, family, and book lovers from all over the city came to celebrate the new addition to the community. The bookstore quickly became a meeting place, a place where people could escape the chaos of daily life and lose themselves in the pages of a good book. Diego and Sofia became beloved figures in the community. They organized literary events, brought in authors for talks, and created a welcoming atmosphere where everyone felt welcome. The bookshop thrived, not just as a business, but as a symbol of shared love and passion. Diego and Sofia's life was peaceful and full. They spent their evenings reading together, discussing books and planning new adventures. There was a simple and profound joy in their routine, a contentment that came from living their dreams and being by the side of the person they loved. But life has its twists and turns, and their tranquility was about to be challenged by an unexpected event that would test their strength and their love. Everything seemed perfect in Diego and Sofia's lives until one day, unexpected news shook their lives. During a business meeting, Diego received an urgent call from his doctor. He had recently undergone routine tests, and the results showed something worrying. Diego was called for an immediate consultation. Sofia insisted on accompanying him to the doctor. They sat in the waiting room, holding hands and trying to reassure each other. When they were finally called in, the doctor, with a grave expression, revealed that Diego had a serious heart problem that required urgent surgery. Diego's world seemed to collapse when he heard those words. He looked at Sofia, who had tears in her eyes, but she remained strong. "We'll get through this together, Diego. I'm here with you." The news spread quickly among Diego and Sofia's friends and family. Everyone offered support, but the fear of the unknown hung in the air. Diego, used to solving problems efficiently and logically, felt powerless for the first time in his life. The surgery was risky, but necessary. In the days leading up to the surgery, Diego reflected on his life, his achievements, and most importantly, the love he had found in Sofia. They spent every moment together, trying to keep their spirits high. They read their favorite books, watched movies that made them laugh, and talked about the future, as if they were trying to dispel the shadow of uncertainty. The night before the surgery, Diego and Sofia went to the bookstore, which was already closed to the public. They sat in the classic literature section, surrounded by the books they loved so much. Diego held Sofia's hand and said, "No matter what happens tomorrow, know that you are the best part of my life. You've given me more than I ever thought possible." Sofia, with tears streaming down her face, replied, "And you are everything to me, Diego. We'll get through this together. I believe in you." The morning of the surgery arrived. Diego was taken to the hospital, while Sofia waited anxiously in the waiting room, surrounded by friends and family. Every minute seemed like an eternity. Finally, after hours of tension, the doctor appeared with a reassuring smile. The surgery was a success. "Diego will be fine, but he'll need time to recover." The news brought indescribable relief. Sofia rushed to Diego's room and found him still under the effects of the anesthesia, but with a faint smile on his face. "We did it, Diego," she said softly, holding his hand. The following months were a time of recovery and adaptation. Diego, always active and dynamic, had to learn to be patient and allow his body to heal. Sofia was by his side every step of the way, offering support and encouragement. They faced the challenge together, strengthened by love and determination. The experience, although traumatic, brought a new perspective to Diego. He realized the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. With Sofia by his side, he was ready for whatever the future brought. Over time, Diego recovered completely from the surgery. He resumed his daily activities, but with a new appreciation for life. Every day was a gift, and he didn't want to waste a moment. The experience had made him more aware of his priorities and what really mattered: his health, his love for Sofia, and his passion for books and the bookstore. The community, which had come together to support Diego and Sofia during difficult times, continued to be a source of strength and inspiration. Diego decided it was time to give something back. He and Sofia began organizing charity events at the bookshop, raising funds for important causes such as heart health and children's education. One of these events was particularly special. They organized a public reading of literary classics, where members of the community took turns reading excerpts from their favorite books. The bookstore was packed, and the energy in the air was palpable. Diego, feeling more alive than ever, took to the stage with Sofia by his side. "Good evening, everyone," Diego began with a warm smile. "Today is a special day for us, not only because we're celebrating the literature we love so much, but also because we're giving back to the community that has supported us in difficult times. Each and every one of you is part of our history, and we are eternally grateful." Sofia continued, "Reading has the power to bring people together, to transport us to other worlds, and to make us feel less alone. It's a privilege to share this passion with all of you. Thank you for being here." The event was a great success, raising a significant amount for charity. More importantly, it solidified the bond between Diego, Sofia, and the community. The bookshop was not just a business, but a meeting place, a refuge, and a positive force in many people's lives. Diego and Sofia also devoted more time to each other. They continued to explore new books, planning small literary trips whenever they could. Every moment together was a celebration of the love they shared and the life they were building. One sunny afternoon, as they walked through the park, Diego stopped and looked at Sofia with a smile. "You know, I never imagined that life could be so complete. You've brought a whole new dimension to my world." Sofia smiled back, squeezing his hand. "And you showed me that dreams can come true. Together, we're capable of anything." They stopped in front of an old tree where they often sat to read. Diego took a small book out of his pocket, a gift for Sofia. "This is for you, a symbol of our love and the journey we share." Sofia opened the book and found a collection of poems that Diego had written for her over the years. Each poem was a reminder of a special moment, a reflection of their growing love. "Diego, this is beautiful. Thank you." The days passed serenely, with Diego and Sofia living in harmony. They knew that whatever challenges they might face, they would always have each other and the passion that united them. Life continued to surprise them in wonderful ways, and they were ready to embrace each new chapter together. Diego and Sofia were experiencing a period of great tranquility and satisfaction, but they knew that life always had new surprises in store. One day, while they were in the bookstore, they received an unexpected visit from Alessandro Rossi, the foreign businessman with whom they had almost closed a deal years ago. "Diego, Sofia, it's a pleasure to see you again," said Alessandro, smiling as he entered the bookshop. "I heard about what happened, and I want to congratulate you on overcoming everything with such courage." Diego and Sofia looked at each other, surprised but happy to see Alessandro. "Thank you, Alessandro," Diego replied. "What brings you here?" Alessandro explained that he was in town to expand his business and, remembering Diego's integrity, wanted to propose a new partnership. "I know we've had our disagreements in the past, but I believe we can create something incredible together now." Diego and Sofia were intrigued, but also cautious. "Alessandro, we appreciate the opportunity, but we need to better understand what you have in mind," said Diego. Alessandro smiled, pulling out a folder of documents. "I'd like to open a new kind of restaurant, something that combines sophisticated cuisine with a unique literary experience. Imagine a place where people can enjoy exceptional meals while immersed in an environment that celebrates literature." Alessandro's idea was ambitious but intriguing. Diego and Sofia looked at each other, feeling the excitement of a new adventure. "That sounds amazing," said Sofia, "but how exactly would it work?" "Each restaurant would be themed, based on different literary genres or famous authors," explained Alessandro. "We could have a section dedicated to the classics, another to contemporary literature, and so on. Customers could read while waiting for their meals, and even take part in literary events." Diego was fascinated by the idea. He had always wanted to expand his activities beyond traditional restaurants, and this proposal seemed the perfect opportunity to combine his two great passions, cooking and literature. "Alessandro, we'll consider your proposal seriously. Give us a few days to think about it and discuss the details." Over the next few days, Diego and Sofia discussed the proposal extensively. They considered the risks, the challenges, and the opportunities. Finally, they decided that they were ready to embrace this new adventure. They met again with Alessandro and agreed to start the partnership. The first step would be to find a suitable location and start planning the design and concept of the themed restaurants. Diego, with his experience in architecture, would lead the design project, while Sofia would take care of the literary curation. The work was intense but rewarding. They chose an old historic building in the city center, which would be restored and transformed into the first literary restaurant. The decor was carefully planned to reflect the essence of the books and authors they were celebrating. Every detail, from the furniture to the lighting, was designed to create an immersive experience. On the opening day, the whole city seemed to be present. The restaurant was full of anticipation and curiosity. Diego and Sofia were overjoyed, ready to share their new creation with the world. When they opened the doors, they were greeted with applause and praise. Guests explored the atmosphere, marveling at the unique combination of gastronomy and literature. Alessandro, present at the opening, raised a toast to Diego and Sofia for the vision and courage to turn a dream into reality. The restaurant's success was immediate. It became a meeting place for lovers of good food and literature, a place where people could escape the everyday world and lose themselves in the pages of a good book while enjoying delicious dishes. Diego and Sofia continued to work together, always innovating and expanding the concept to new cities. They knew that life would always bring new challenges, but they were ready to face them, united by the love and passion they shared. The success of Diego, Sofia, and Alessandro's first literary restaurant exceeded all expectations. The reviews were enthusiastic, the customers were delighted, and the literary community greeted the innovation with warm praise. Motivated by this initial triumph, they began planning to expand to other cities. Diego was in his element, leading the design team for each new location. Each restaurant had its own unique theme, reflecting different aspects of world literature. There was a restaurant in New York, inspired by classic American literature, with references to Hemingway and Fitzgerald. In Paris, they opened a place dedicated to French literature, decorated with quotes from Proust and Balzac. Sophia, for her part, carefully curated the selection of books and organized literary events in each new restaurant. She invited local authors for talks, book signings, and book clubs. These events not only attracted literature lovers, but also created a sense of community and belonging. While traveling to oversee new openings, Diego and Sophia took the opportunity to explore local cultures and immerse themselves in the literature of each region. On one such trip, while in a small town in Italy, Diego surprised Sophia with a romantic evening in an old bookshop. Sitting among piles of old books, he looked her in the eye and said, "Sophia, every day with you is a new page in a wonderful book. I couldn't imagine a better life than the one we're building together." Sophia smiled, touched. "And every day with you, Diego, is an incredible adventure. We're writing our own story, and it's more beautiful than any book I've ever read." They toasted with local wine, feeling grateful for everything they had achieved together. Life felt like a dream come true, and they were determined to keep growing and innovating. Back in their hometown, the original bookshop they had opened continued to thrive. It had become a vibrant cultural center where people gathered to discuss books, take part in workshops, and simply enjoy a good coffee while reading. Diego and Sophia were deeply involved in the community, supporting local projects and encouraging literary education, but life, as always, was about to throw up a new challenge. One morning, while Diego was reviewing documents in his office, he received a phone call from Alessandro. "Diego, I need to speak to you urgently. There's a problem with one of our suppliers." Diego immediately arranged a meeting. Alessandro explained that he had discovered unethical practices by one of the restaurant's main food suppliers. This not only compromised the integrity of the business, but also posed a health risk to customers. "We need to resolve this immediately," said Diego, sensing the gravity of the situation. "Let's end the contract with this supplier and find alternatives that meet our quality and ethical standards." The decision to change supplier was not easy and involved complex logistics, but Diego and his team worked tirelessly to ensure that the transition was smooth and that customers were not affected. During this stressful period, Sophia was a constant source of support, reminding Diego of the importance of maintaining the integrity and values they held so dear. Finally, after weeks of intense work, the situation was resolved. Diego and Alessandro called a press conference to clarify what had happened and reaffirm the company's commitment to transparency and quality. The public response was positive, and customer confidence was quickly restored. Diego learned once again that challenges are part of the journey, and that, with determination and mutual support, they could overcome any obstacle. He and Sophia continued to expand their literary culinary empire, always with the passion and love that united them. With the supplier crisis resolved and trust restored, Diego and Sophia were ready to embark on a new phase of their lives. They decided it was time to fulfill a long-held dream, to write a book together. Inspired by their own experiences and the stories they encountered on their travels, they began to plan their literary project. They chose a theme that reflected the essence of their lives, a novel that explored the power of love, resilience, and literature. They spent months researching, writing, and revising. Sophia focused on the narrative and dialogues, while Diego dedicated himself to the structure and details. The collaboration brought them even closer together, and each chapter they wrote was a new discovery. During this process, they also maintained their responsibilities with the restaurants and the bookshop. Sophia continued to organize literary events, now with renewed enthusiasm, knowing that they would soon be presenting their own book. Diego, for his part, balanced his time between designing the new restaurants and writing, finding inspiration in every corner of daily life. Finally, After a year of hard work, the manuscript was ready. They decided to publish it independently, using the bookshop as a base for the launch. The book signing night was an exciting event, with friends, family, and members of the community turning up to support the couple. Diego and Sofia were beaming, proudly holding up the first copies of their book. "This book is a celebration of everything we love and believe in," said Diego during his speech. "We hope that every reader finds in the pages of this book the same passion and inspiration that we found when writing it." Sofia added, "Literature has the power to change lives, just as it has changed ours. We are honored to share our story with all of you." The book was a success, receiving positive reviews and winning the hearts of readers. Diego and Sofia felt fulfilled, knowing that they had created something that would last and touch the lives of many people. The experience also strengthened their bond, showing them that together they could achieve anything. With the success of the book, Diego and Sofia began to think about expanding their family. Both had always wanted children, and now they felt the time was right. The news of Sofia's pregnancy was greeted with great joy and celebration. Friends and family gathered to share the couple's happiness, eager to welcome the new member of the family. The months of pregnancy were a mixture of excitement and preparation. Diego and Sofia transformed one of the rooms in the house into a nursery, decorating it with care and attention to every detail. They chose children's books for the bookshelf, eager to pass on their love of reading to their son. During this period, Diego began to reflect on his own childhood and the importance of the values he wanted to pass on to his son. He and Sofia often discussed how to balance their careers and family life, committing themselves to creating a loving and supportive environment for the child. Finally, the day of the birth arrived. Diego was by Sofia's side, holding her hand as she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. They decided to call her Clara, a name that symbolized light and clarity, reflecting the new perspective she brought to their lives. The first few months as parents were challenging, but also full of unforgettable moments. Diego and Sofia took turns looking after Clara, making sure she was always surrounded by love and affection. Sleepless nights were made up for by the smiles and laughter of little Clara, who quickly became the center of their lives. Clara's presence brought a new energy to the house and the bookshop. Customers loved to see the little girl running around the shelves, and she quickly became a beloved mascot of the place. Sofia organized reading sessions for children, where Clara was always the most attentive listener, enchanted by the stories her mother told. Diego also adapted to the new routine, finding a balance between his professional and family responsibilities. He realized that fatherhood had made him more patient and understanding, qualities that also benefited his business. Customers and employees noticed the positive change in his attitude, and the company continued to thrive. Diego and Sofia were determined to create a magical childhood for Clara, full of literary adventures and enriching experiences. They took her to parks, museums, and of course bookstores. Every trip was an opportunity to learn and explore, and Clara grew up surrounded by her parents' love and curiosity. Diego and Sofia's life was full of happiness and purpose. They continued to expand their business, but now with an even more meaningful perspective. Clara's presence reminded them daily of the importance of living each moment to the full, valuing the simple things and the love they shared. As Clara grew up, Diego and Sofia faced the natural challenges of parenthood. Clara was a curious and energetic child, always exploring and asking questions. Diego and Sofia wanted to ensure that she had a solid education and firm values, but they also wanted her to be free to discover the world in her own way. Diego had become more present at home, balancing his time between business and family. He and Sofia made a point of spending quality time with Clara, reading to her every night, and encouraging her own little literary adventures. Clara loved fantasy stories and often created her own, imagining magical worlds where she was the heroine. One day, while they were all in the bookshop, Clara found an old dusty book on a forgotten shelf. "Daddy, Mommy, look what I found," she exclaimed, holding up the book as if it were a treasure. Diego and Sofia looked at the title and realized it was an old diary. They leafed through the pages carefully and discovered that it belonged to an unknown local writer who had lived there many years ago. Fascinated by the discovery, they decided to investigate more about the story behind the diary. This search led them to meet new people in the community, including descendants of the writer and local historians. The bookshop became a meeting place for discussions and research into the life and work of the unknown author. Diego and Sofia organized a special event to share their discoveries with the public, transforming the bookshop into an even more vibrant cultural center. Clara, always curious, took an active part in the investigations. She loved listening to the adults' stories and often added her own imaginative interpretations. Diego and Sofia were impressed by their daughter's intelligence and creativity and felt immensely proud. As Clara grew up, Diego and Sofia faced the challenges of balancing their parental responsibilities with their careers. Life was hectic, but also deeply rewarding. They were determined to create an environment where Clara could flourish, nurturing her curiosity and encouraging her dreams. One day, while Diego was in the office, he received an unexpected call. It was an offer from a major publishing house interested in publishing the diary Clara had discovered. The news brought a new wave of enthusiasm to the family. Diego and Sofia worked together to prepare the manuscript for publication, and Clara, now 9, was thrilled to see her discovery come to life. The publication of the diary was a great success, bringing recognition not only to the family, but also to the community. Diego and Sofia felt fulfilled, not only by the success of the project, but also by the example they were setting Clara about the importance of following your passions and never giving up on your dreams. Life was at an all-time high for Diego, Sofia, and Clara, but as with any journey, challenges were never far away. One day, during a violent storm, lightning struck the bookshop, causing a devastating fire. Diego and Sofia were called in a hurry, and when they arrived, they found the building engulfed in flames. The fire was brought under control by the firefighters, but the bookshop suffered significant damage. Diego and Sofia, heartbroken, looked at the wreckage of the place they loved so much. Clara, holding her mother's hand tightly, looked with tears in her eyes at the burnt books and destroyed shelves. In the days that followed, Diego and Sofia dedicated themselves to the recovery. They mobilized the community, which readily offered help. Friends, family, and loyal customers showed up to support the rebuilding of the bookshop. Clara, although young, showed admirable resilience, helping her parents as best she could and keeping her spirits high. Diego and Sofia used this time to reflect on the significance of the bookshop in their lives. They realized that although the books and shelves were important, the real heart of the bookshop was the community they had built over the years. They decided that the new bookstore would be even more inclusive and a true center of culture and learning. During the reconstruction, Diego and Sofia also found time to teach Clara about the importance of resilience and community. They involved her in every step of the process, from choosing new furniture to organizing fundraising events. Clara, for her part, contributed creative ideas and helped keep morale high among the volunteers. After months of hard work, the bookshop was finally ready to reopen. The reopening ceremony was an emotional event, attended by everyone who had contributed to the recovery. Diego and Sofia, with Clara by their side, cut the opening ribbon while the crowd applauded enthusiastically. "Today, we're not just celebrating the reopening of a bookstore," said Diego, moved. "We're celebrating the strength and resilience of a community that has pulled together in difficult times. Thank you all for making this possible." Sofia added, "This is a new chapter for all of us. We will continue to create memories, share stories, and strengthen the bonds that unite us." The new bookstore quickly became a success, even surpassing the popularity of the original. Diego and Sofia continued to innovate, introducing new programs and events that attracted people of all ages. Clara, now more involved than ever, had become a real inspiration to her parents and the community. Despite the storm and the difficulties they faced, Diego and Sofia emerged stronger and more united. The experience taught them to value even more the simple and precious things in life and the importance of never giving up, no matter how difficult the path may seem. Rebuilding the bookshop not only strengthened the bonds between Diego, Sofia, and Clara, but also reinforced their role in the community. The new bookstore became a symbol of resilience and a focal point for cultural and educational activities. Diego and Sofia were proud to see Clara grow up in an environment so rich in stimuli and values. As time went by, Clara continued to flourish, showing a natural talent for writing and reading. Encouraged by her parents, she began to write her own stories, many of which were inspired by the adventures and challenges her family had faced. Diego and Sofia were thrilled to see Clara's passion for literature manifest itself in such a creative and promising way. One day, while revising one of her manuscripts, Clara suggested, "Mum, Dad, what if we wrote a book together? Something that tells our story and the lessons we've learned along the way." Diego and Sofia looked at each other, surprised but enthusiastic about the idea. "That would be amazing, Clara," said Sofia, smiling. "We could share our journey and maybe inspire other families to overcome their own challenges." They set to work on the project, each contributing their own perspectives and experiences. Diego focused on the practical aspects and business lessons. Sofia brought her literary sensibility and personal reflections, and Clara added her youthful and creative vision. The book became a true family collaboration, rich in stories and insights. During the writing process, Diego and Sofia also reflected on how their own parents had influenced their lives. They decided to visit their families and share the progress of the book. These visits brought a deep sense of gratitude and connection. They realized that, despite the differences and challenges, the love and support of their families had been fundamental in their journey. The book, entitled Family Ties: A Journey of Love, Resilience and Literature, was published with great anticipation. The launch night was an exciting event, held in the new bookshop. The community turned out in force, and the speeches by Diego, Sofia and Clara were met with enthusiastic applause. An emotional Diego said, "This book is a testimony to our journey, the challenges we have faced and the victories we have won. We hope it will inspire others to value their families and never give up on their dreams." Sofia added, "Literature has always been a refuge and a source of inspiration for us. We want to share this passion and show that, together, we can overcome any obstacle." Clara, with a twinkle in her eye, concluded, "Writing this book with my parents has been an incredible experience. I hope that everyone who reads it feels the same love and hope that we felt when we wrote it." The book was a success, touching the hearts of many readers and further strengthening the bonds between Diego, Sofia, Clara, and the community. The experience of writing together brought a new dimension to their relationship, showing that, regardless of the challenges, love and family unity were the greatest achievements of all. With the success of the book and the growing popularity of the bookshop, Diego and Sofia began to receive invitations to lectures and literary events all over the country. They were eager to share their experiences and inspire others, but they also knew they needed to balance these new commitments with their family and business responsibilities. During one of these talks, at a renowned literary conference, Diego and Sofia were approached by a film producer interested in adapting their story for the screen. "Your story is incredibly inspiring," said the producer. "I believe that many people would identify with the challenges and triumphs you have faced. I'd like to discuss the possibility of turning it into a movie." Diego and Sofia were surprised and excited by the proposal. "That would be an incredible opportunity," said Diego. "But we need to ensure that the essence of our story is preserved and that the message of resilience and family love is conveyed authentically." After several meetings and negotiations, they agreed to go ahead with the project. Production of the film began, and Diego, Sofia and Clara were invited to participate in the creative process, offering their perspectives and insights to ensure that the adaptation was true to reality. While the movie was in production, Diego and Sofia's lives continued to evolve. They decided to open a new branch of the bookstore in a neighboring town, further expanding its reach and impact. The new bookshop, like the original, quickly became a popular meeting place, attracting book lovers and the curious alike. Clara, now a teenager, was flourishing academically and continued to write her own stories. She also began to take an interest in acting, influenced by the filming process she was closely following. Diego and Sofia supported her in all her endeavors, proud of their daughter's adventurous and creative spirit. The premiere of the movie was a grand event. Held at the city's most prestigious cinema, the evening was attended by friends, family, members of the community, and even a few celebrities. Diego, Sofia, and Clara walked the red carpet, excited and nervous to see how their story would be received by the public. When the lights went down and the movie started, they felt a mixture of nostalgia and pride. The scenes faithfully portrayed the crucial moments in their lives, from Diego's humble childhood to the challenges of rebuilding the bookshop and the birth of Clara. The actors' performances were moving, capturing the essence of their journey with sincerity and depth. At the end of the movie, the audience gave a standing ovation. Diego, Sofia, and Clara were called up to the stage, where they were warmly acknowledged. Diego, overcome with emotion, thanked everyone for their support and stressed the importance of valuing simple moments and family ties. "We are honored to share our story with the world," said Sofia. "We hope that this film will inspire many to believe in their dreams and never give up regardless of the obstacles." Clara, smiling, added, "Life is a journey full of adventures and surprises. I'm grateful to be part of this incredible story and to have such wonderful parents." The success of the film has brought even more recognition and opportunities for the family. Diego and Sofia were invited to take part in talk shows, interviews, and more conferences, where they continued to inspire and motivate people of all ages. After the success of the movie and the expansion of the bookstore, Diego and Sofia were at a high point in their careers and personal lives. However, they never lost sight of what was really important: their family, their community, and their passion for literature. They decided it was time to go one step further and create a lasting legacy. Diego had always dreamed of creating an institute that would promote reading and literary education for children from underprivileged communities. With the support of Sofia and Clara, he began planning the creation of the Fernandez Literary Institute, a non-profit organization dedicated to providing educational resources, mobile libraries, and reading programs to underprivileged schools and communities. The idea quickly gained support from the community and business partners. Alessandro Rossi, who had become a close friend and ally, offered significant funding to help launch the project. "We believe in the power of education and reading to transform lives," said Alessandro. "I'm honored to support this initiative." The inauguration of the Fernandez Literary Institute was an exciting event, held in the bookstore's new branch. Diego, Sofia, and Clara were beaming, ready to share their vision with the world. The institute would not only offer educational resources, but would also organize workshops, lectures, and cultural events to inspire young readers. Diego, in his opening speech, spoke about his own journey and the importance of books in his life. "Books have given me dreams and helped me realize them," he said. "We want to offer the same opportunity to children and young people who, like me, have big dreams, but few resources." Sofia, moved, added, "Reading has the power to change lives and open doors to new worlds. We are committed to making a difference and ensuring that everyone has access to the magic of literature." Clara, now a young adult, shared her own perspective. "Growing up surrounded by books and stories has given me a broad view of the world and endless possibilities. I can't wait to see the impact the Institute will have on the lives of so many children." The Institute's first programs were a great success. Mobile libraries were sent to rural areas, and reading and creative writing workshops began to be held in public schools. The response from the communities was extremely positive, and the success stories began to multiply. Diego and Sofia were deeply involved in every stage of the Institute, ensuring that each project reflected their values and objectives. They traveled frequently to visit the communities they served, finding inspiration in the stories and faces of the children they were impacting. One day, while visiting a school in a remote area, they were approached by a young girl called Anna. She was holding a book with a worn cover and eyes shining with emotion. "Mr. Diego, Mrs. Sofia, thank you for bringing these books. I've always dreamed of reading stories like these, but I've never had access to them." Diego, touched by Anna's words, replied with a smile, "Anna, books are windows to the world. Keep reading and dreaming big. The future is yours." Anna's words echoed in Diego and Sofia's hearts, reaffirming their mission and passion. They knew they were on the right track and that their work was making a real difference. With the Fernandez Literary Institute up and running and making a significant difference, Diego and Sofia began to think of new ways to expand its impact. Inspired by the success stories of the children and young people they had helped, they decided to explore international opportunities. One of their first international initiatives was to establish partnerships with literary and educational organizations in other countries. They began working with schools and communities in Latin America, where the need for educational resources was particularly great. Alessandro Rossi, always a faithful ally, helped facilitate these connections using his global network of contacts. During a trip to Brazil, Diego and Sofia visited a small town in the countryside where they were enthusiastically received by students and teachers. They brought books, educational materials, and organized reading workshops. The children, many of whom had never had access to a library, were amazed. Diego and Sofia realized that the impact of their actions went beyond what they could have imagined. Seeing the sparkle in these children's eyes is the greatest reward we could ask for, said Sofia, moved as she watched a group of children enthusiastically leafing through books. Diego agreed. We're just getting started. I want our institute to reach more and more children around the world, giving them the same opportunities I had. As well as expanding their educational efforts, Diego and Sofia have also begun to explore new ways of promoting literature through technology. They launched an online platform that offered free access to ebooks and audiobooks, as well as educational resources for teachers and parents. The platform quickly gained popularity, especially in areas where access to physical books was limited. Clara, who was now studying literature at university, played a crucial role in developing the platform. Her passion for technology and literature came together perfectly, allowing her to create a user-friendly interface and interactive features that encouraged reading among young people. We're living in a digital world, and it's important to adapt our methods to reach more people, said Clara during a presentation of the platform. I believe that this tool can make a difference in many children's lives, just as books did in mine. With the growth of the Institute and the digital platform, Diego and Sofia began to receive international recognition for their efforts. They were invited to participate in global conferences on education and literature, where they shared their experiences and visions for the future. These conferences also provided opportunities to learn from other initiatives and bring new ideas to their own work. Despite their success and frequent travels, Diego and Sofia never lost sight of what was most important: their family and the local community. They continued to be present and active figures in the bookshop and institute, always available to talk to customers, students, and members of the community. One day, while walking around the bookshop, Clara commented, "You've created something really special here, not just for our family, but for everyone who walks through these doors." Diego smiled and hugged his daughter. "And we will continue to grow and learn, always with the passion and love for literature that has united us since the beginning." As the Fernandez Literary Institute and the digital platform continued to grow, Diego and Sofia faced new challenges. With expansion came the need for more complex and efficient management, and they knew they would need help to maintain the level of excellence and impact they had achieved. They decided to hire a dedicated team of professionals who were passionate about education and literature. The new team brought renewed energy and new ideas, allowing the Institute and digital platform to expand even further. Clara, now a young adult, took on a leading role in the technology team, coordinating the ongoing development of the platform and ensuring that it remained relevant and accessible. During a team meeting, Sofia reflected on how far she had come. "I never imagined we would get this far when we started," she said. "But seeing the impact we're having on the lives of so many children is the greatest reward," Diego agreed, adding, "And we're just getting started. We have the opportunity to transform literary education globally, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes us." One of the biggest challenges they faced was ensuring that the quality and integrity of their programs remained intact as they expanded. To do this, they instituted a series of evaluation and feedback practices involving educators and experts to continually review and improve their methods and materials. In addition, they began to face issues of financial sustainability. As operations grew, costs increased, and they needed to find ways of securing ongoing funding. Alessandro Rossi, always a valuable ally, suggested they set up an endowment fund and seek partnerships with companies and philanthropic organizations. "We need to think long-term," said Alessandro during a strategy meeting. Creating an endowment fund will allow us to maintain and expand our operations without compromising on quality. Diego and Sofia agreed and got to work setting up the fund. They held fundraising events and awareness campaigns, highlighting the positive impact of their programs and encouraging donations from individuals and companies. The response was positive, and they were soon able to secure the necessary funding to continue their operations. While working on financial sustainability, Diego and Sofia also focused on ensuring that their programs were inclusive and accessible to all children, regardless of their circumstances. They expanded their partnerships with organizations serving marginalized communities and developed educational materials adapted to different needs and contexts. One day, during a visit to a school in a rural area, Diego and Sofia met a girl called Maria. She had learning difficulties, but an unwavering love of reading. With the help of the Institute's adapted resources, Maria began to make remarkable progress. Seeing her transformation was a powerful reminder of the impact of their work. Maria is proof that everyone has the potential to learn and grow, as long as they are given the right support, said an emotional Sofia. That's what motivates us to keep going. Diego and Sofia's journey was far from over, but they were more determined than ever to face any challenge and transform the world through literature and education. Together, with their family and dedicated team, they continued to write a story of love, resilience, and positive impact. The years passed, and Diego, Sofia, and Clara continued to expand and strengthen their legacy. The Fernandez Literary Institute has become a global reference in literary education, reaching millions of children and young people around the world. The digital platform has grown, incorporating new technologies and resources to meet the needs of an increasingly connected generation. Clara, now a talented leader and innovator, has played a crucial role in the platform's evolution. Her passion for literature and technology led her to create interactive programs that encouraged reading and creative writing in new and exciting ways. She also launched a series of books aimed at young readers, inspiring a new generation to explore the world of books. As Diego and Sofia approached retirement, they reflected on the impact of their work and the legacy they would leave behind. They decided it was time to pass the baton to the next generation of leaders, ensuring that the Institute and the platform continued to thrive. Clara took on the position of executive director, leading with the same passion and dedication as her parents. In an emotional ceremony, Diego and Sofia announced their retirement. Friends, family, and colleagues gathered to celebrate their achievements and thank them for the profound impact they have had on so many people's lives. Diego, with tears in his eyes, spoke about the journey that led them to that moment. "We started with a simple dream, to share our love of literature with the world," said Diego. "Over the years, that dream has grown into something bigger than we could ever have imagined. We are grateful for every person who has found inspiration in our books, our bookstore, and our institute." Sofia, holding Diego's hand, added, "Our greatest joy has been to see the transformation in the lives of the children we have touched. Every smile, every success story is a reminder that it was worth it. And we know that Clara and the new generation of leaders will continue this work with passion and commitment." An emotional Clara replied, "Mom, Dad, you're the reason I'm here today. I promise to continue your legacy and carry our mission forward, ensuring that every child has the opportunity to discover the power of reading and education." The ceremony was followed by a party full of joy and memories, where friends and family shared stories and expressed their gratitude. Diego and Sofia felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that they had fulfilled their mission and left a lasting impact. After retirement, Diego and Sofia enjoyed life in a more relaxed way, traveling and spending time with their family. Clara continued to expand the Institute and the platform, taking her parents' mission to new heights. The global literary community recognized the work of the Fernandez family, and their legacy became a symbol of hope and transformation. Years later, during an awards ceremony, Clara received an award on behalf of her parents, honoring their contributions to education and literature. In her speech, she reflected on the impact of her parents and the importance of continuing their mission. "My parents taught me that books have the power to change lives and open doors to new possibilities," said Clara. Their work has been a beacon of hope for many, and I pledge to continue this journey, inspiring future generations to believe in the power of reading and education. The Fernandez family's story is a testament to the resilience, love, and transformative impact of literature. Diego and Sofia have left a legacy that will continue to inspire and empower people around the world, showing that with passion and dedication, it is possible to create a better future for all.